Today we're going to talk about the LTV Canvas, which stands for the Lifetime Value Canvas. And the reason I love lifetime value as the best measure for a customer relationship is you're looking at the profit that you make from a customer over a long-term relationship. And that long-term relationship is difficult to achieve and maintain. So if you've got a long-term relationship with a customer, you're doing something right. In order to get there, you've got to do certain things. So that's what we're going to talk about. This canvas is actually a method, a map for achieving a long-term relationship with a customer and achieving a financial relationship with them that is super, super rewarding. Some of the companies that do a really good job at building a lifetime value relationship with their customers are like Amazon and Apple. Those are some of the trillion-dollar companies. There are many, many companies out there. Zappos, which is part of Amazon, is another one that does a great job. We could list a bunch of those companies on and on. But what do they do? What is actually going on? How do these companies build these relationships with the customers that allow them to build these powerful, powerful businesses over time and reach the stratosphere? And I think, if you isolate it down to what Apple, Amazon, and some of the others are doing right that are pushing them to the trillion-dollar valuation, it's because they have a bond with their customer. There's a trust bond that they provide good value, and in response, the customers build more and more faith in them over time. That's what we're going to talk about here. That's what this canvas is. And I want to tell you where the canvas came from. I've been in the internet space for about 25 years. I've been building products and businesses since the very beginning of when Netscape was in beta, and have just had so many different experiences seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I slowly built this mental model in my mind of how to break out the activities, how to continually update my knowledge of how selling and buying and building businesses on the internet works. And this model is actually inclusive of some technologies. It's inclusive of business models. It's inclusive of product management approaches and product strategy. So it sounds daunting. It sounds really big. But actually, the more than 2 decades of experience in building businesses has taught me and I've figured out how to isolate it down to something really simple. And so that's what this LTV Canvas is. Let me talk a little bit about the overview, and then we'll drill into a couple of the sections. First of all, this is going to be the model that we use as we explore in the LTV napkin, which napkin is an understatement. It's actually a very powerful spreadsheet that allows you to model variations in all kinds of different areas within the canvas here and see how they will affect your business and your business opportunities. So this framework will apply there, and that's how we'll walk through it. I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to approach this. So if you see value proposition is right at the top of the page, we're going to hit value proposition at the end of this course. And the reason we're going to do that is we'll hit it a little bit up front, but it'll really make sense at the end when we go deep into understanding how the value proposition ties together your acquisition, your retention, and your monetization. So I think we should just dig in. I can tell you a little bit about what this is, what we're doing, and how it all fits together. So objective. Let's talk about this for a second. We want to maximize revenue and lifetime value by creating a lasting, profitable bond with your customers. That bond is where the money comes from. That bond is when they trust you enough to open up their wallet. Some people, and it's a lot of people, anytime Apple comes out with a new product, they immediately adopt it. They're in line, waiting, sleeping in a sleeping bag out in the street, trying to get a hold of that next product. Apple has been able to reach into its customers' pockets and extract all the value that it chooses to. Amazon is a perfect example of another company that's done that. Everything that Amazon does is well adopted by its customers because there's trust in fair pricing, trust in great delivery. So that bond is really the root of all of this. But let's be clear, we're talking about businesses here, and the soft feeling around a bond is great, but we're talking about making money. So let's dig in here a little bit. As I said, the value proposition, that's the groundwork. We'll deal with that a little bit at the end. The piece I want to say up here right now, so it's not a mystery, is when we talk about the value proposition, what we're talking about is who's your customer? Who are you serving? What are you offering them? Why specifically is that the thing that you want to offer? Why should it exist? So should it be something that exists in the world? Are there too many of them already? These are questions you have to ask yourself. And the fourth piece is, why are you the one to do it? So what do you bring uniquely to this? So who's your customer? What are you bringing to them? Why should it exist? Right? And why you? If you can answer those questions, you're prepared to dig into this. And if you can't answer those questions, we'll dig into that later. So let's talk about acquisition. Acquisition is the first of our three pillars. The acquisition pillar, and actually, if you look here, we've got a couple different things going on. We've got vertical pillars here that are themes. Those themes have activities. For instance, in acquisition, it's audience targeting, landing experiences, funnel optimization, effectiveness management, those kind of things. Those are activities that you do within the acquisition column. Now, we move over to the right using a little connector here. It says, then once you acquire well, then you move on to retention and you move on to monetization. These are the activities that you do. You've got to make sure you're measuring the right way to look at each of these. Customer acquisition cost, customer count. These are ways that you measure your acquisition. Churn rate, engagement, there are a bunch of measures in there, is how you measure your retention. And monetization, which is the cream on top and the icing, this is where you measure the things that are really important for a business. How much revenue are you making per user? What's your price per order? What are your attach rates when you offer something new? So how many people adopt the new things you offer? Ultimately, we're getting here to how do you calculate the value of your business? So it's how many customers do you have, which is your acquisition column, multiplied by how long do you keep those customers? How many years do they shop with you? How many years do you have a relationship with them when you can sell them things? And ultimately, how much do you make per year on them? Do you offer core? Do you offer add-ons? Do you offer cross-sells, upsells? All of those things add to the richness of a relationship with a customer. When you multiply the number of customers by how long you keep them, by how much you make per year off of each customer, you end up with total revenue. And the total revenue is a way to look at it. Now, that feeds into, that's the one piece of lifetime value. You have to look at costs as well. That becomes your lifetime value equation. So I want to now that we've given a little bit of an overview, we've got value proposition at the top, we've got some columns with activities, and then we've got ways to measure, and then ultimately the money falls out at the bottom. I want to talk about why this is important. How do we use this thing? I use it as a map for a couple different things. First of all, it's my conceptual approach so that I can see the forest and the trees at the same time. So as an executive, as a leader, somebody who's driving the creation and growth of a business, you've got to be able to see tactics. You've got to be able to task people to do things, but then you also have to be able to lift up, fit all of those things into a comprehensive view so that you never miss a beat in managing all of the areas that are critical to your business. I think of this canvas as the best way that I know of to make sure that all of my activities are going on. So before this became a thing that I offered to anybody else, I was keeping notes and had just kind of a rolling view of acquisition, retention, and monetization in my mind with the businesses that I've built. Most critically, or most recently, this is the approach that I had in the creation of Beachbody On Demand. So I was co-founder of that business. And what we did was we built it from $0 in revenue up to $100 million in revenue in about 18 months and got ultimately 1 million subscribers by the time I left. I had a wide range of roles that I played there. Ultimately, as co-founder, I did strategy, business development, all of those things. I was working across this entire canvas. And then to fill in the gaps, I took on the CTO position, Chief Technology Officer of Beachbody. And in doing that, I even organized the team based on this notion of people focusing their expertise around these three pillars. So why do we have a canvas? The canvas helps us move in and out, forest and trees. Forest on a high level, making sure everything's moving in the right direction, down to the tree level to make sure that everything is moving right. What does that do for us? Here's what's really great about it. I've used this approach as a way to troubleshoot. When there's an opportunity to, or pressure to make more money, where do you go? How's acquisition clicking? How are you doing on your metrics there? How's retention clicking? Do you need to improve churn rate? How's monetization? Is there an opportunity to sell more, add more products, or add some things to the relationship with the customer that are going to enhance margins? This is a troubleshooting way to get a very quick, broad view of exactly what's going on with your business, and I found it completely indispensable. So that's it. And then the last piece that I'll talk about is prioritization. If you know all your numbers behind each of these columns, and we're going to show you, we're going to go into what I call the LTV napkin. And the LTV napkin is actually, it's not a napkin at all. It's a very powerful spreadsheet that helps you model out in one place all of these different activities in your business. So not only can you model out exactly what's going on today, but you can test variations. If we added this, if we reduced churn this way, if we acquired more customers through one of these 4 or 5 different ways, you can model all of those things. And so when you do, you can play with the numbers in each one of these categories and then see what's going to make your most important impact, or the largest impact in your business in the next short period of time. So for prioritization, this approach is fantastic. So as we dig into this, what we're going to do is we will talk about things within each one of these categories: acquisition, retention, and monetization. I'll share some personal stories, experiences on what I've seen and how I've done things, and also share some industry examples so that it drives it home. We're going to walk through a sample company and see how exactly we are going to 10x the revenue of this theoretical company by walking through each one of these. And then the capstone on this, as I said, is that we're going to talk about what's the customer value proposition, because that customer value proposition is where the humanity, the personality of the customer attaches to your company. So you can have great metrics, you can have great business that's just clicking, but if you don't have that value proposition that resonates and creates a reason for people to come back over and over and over and forever, you're going to your business will be suboptimal. So that's it. Really excited to dig into this LTV Canvas with you over time. Really excited to build relationships with all of those who would like to get to go a little bit deeper and see maybe how some of these pieces work, and share maybe deeper stories and maybe the application of me and my team to your challenges. So that's it. Thank you so much for digging in on this course. I promise to you it'll be valuable. And the guarantee is, if this course doesn't drive more than the value that you paid for, it will definitely give you your money back. So that's it. Thank you so much.